Tattooing has undergone rapid social transformation in the past few decades. Once a pejorative symbol affiliated with crime, or a mark belonging to certain groups such as sailors, soldiers, and tradesmen, now tattooing has reached a contemporary position of unadulterated artistic expression. This visual essay explores the emotional relationship between individuals and their tattoos. They are animated on the bodies of those that live, breathe, and exist, as a physical expression of individuation, memoriam, power over the body, and belonging amongst other functions, and they are thus widely perceived as an art form. If indeed tattoos are considered to be alive, then they become an art with their own life force. They are simultaneously an annex to the body as well as being the body itself.
They're living memories, I suppose, like living parts of what I've done, who I've seen, my friends, not coming alive and attacking me in my dreams though, nothing like that.
I like that alive nature of them, that they're going to grow and they'll shift, and if I get wrinkles or sunburn, or if I had some horrible accident and got a scar because of my tattoos, it would be annoying. It's this thing that's going to be evolving.
The dinosaur is from a Basquiat painting. It's kind of like a motif that he does. I think people have analysed it in his paintings as a kind of eternal youth symbol, which I thought was very fitting for a tattoo, because that's everyone associates it with just being eternally youthful.
How could tattoos be dead if I'm still alive and vibrating and running and everything? And I'm growing and they are growing, right? When I got these for the first time, I thought, when I'm gonna grow older, this is just gonna be whoa, going down, and with my skin, it's gonna transform with my skin.
Alive in a very natural sense, like they're inspired by nature, and nature is very much alive. For example, the hammerhead shark, I always felt that it was flowing through my veins, like swimming in my veins. And it's pointing down as some form of energy that holds my hands. And then I have the feeling of the flowers that are blooming in my chest. That makes my culture bloom.
Insofar as that your body's alive and your body moves and morphs. Even if you think that they don't have a story, they do have a story, because the memory of getting the tattoo, how you perceive yourself or how others perceived you with that tattoo carries its own imprint.
If you think of a life story or your body's story as a poem, a tattoo is a refrain that keeps getting repeated.
So they are alive in the sense that they're flowing with you, they're part of you, and they change.
This is an extract from Shelley Jackson's project titled Skin, a Mortal Work of Art, wherein 2,095 participants each had one word of a novella tattooed upon them. The writing was never published elsewhere, therefore making the project both physical and ephemeral. Contradictively, the piece is concurrently more tangible and yet less real than a story on paper. Jackson's project demonstrates how tattoos are a living vehicle for storytelling. A body formed through layered impressions is a textual body in a double sense, as itself a writing surface, and one whose very development depends on other texts. To consider the body an impressible entity is to acknowledge the layers of experience imparted upon it. Schiller here epitomizes the idea that the body is a cohabiting space which absorbs art, text, and images, and sustains their imprints as internal and external signatures.
It's a blank canvas that I've added to over time. It's how I'm telling the story of my life. It's when I'm old and grey and I'll, grandkids, and sit there and point out and tell stories of, it's the same as a book in terms of visual aid.
I think your whole body is like a collection of stories that you go on creating throughout your life. And when you write on it, you're kind of immortalizing those stories.
I had that bike accident, it was a fraction of a second, and now I have a reminder forever, it holds the impression of it. It's the same thing with the tattoo. It's that thing that happened 6 years ago that will stay with me forever.
Why would you have a blank canvas if not to paint on? It's part of me now, and accepting that there are things in life that happen to you that you can't change. It's just part of life as far as I'm concerned, whether that's emotional journeys that I've gone on. So I'm never going to have the same knowledge 2 years ago as to who I am now. It's the same as my skin's never going to be the same after I have a tattoo.
Our family is from the Istmo of the Tehuantepec in Juchitán, in Oaxaca. And these are very traditional flowers that women in their traditional dresses use. It makes me happy. It makes me sad that I'm not there, but it gives me that freedom or that sense of belonging.
A weird mix of euphoria and groundedness, because I always feel so happy after I've got one done. I'm yes, this feels like I've come closer to being me. giggly happiness as well in some way. It feels like it's like just taking life a bit less seriously.
I really love Bulgaria. I feel a strong attachment to especially my mom's hometown, my dad's village. I feel very guilty about leaving these places, especially because my grandparents are still alive, they're still there. For me, like, those tattoos are sort of a symbol to that, like, duty and like family.
This one, which is a circle, half full and half empty, I made it because I want to remind myself how good it feels to be fulfilled by someone else. So in the sense that, like, you by yourself, you will never be completely full. But when you connect to someone, whoever that person is, it's that thing enriches you to a point that it makes the circle feels full.
Tattoos as an art are inherently visual by nature. The emotional resonance of their meaning reveals the underlying significance beneath the surface of the wearer. In the next chapter, we take a closer view at the dichotomy between the ostentatious materiality of the skin exhibiting tattoos and the wearer manifesting meaning. Renu Bora explores the reading of material textures in outing texture. Bora identifies that texture signifies the surface resonance or quality of an object or material. They therefore coined texture with two X's, to emphasize the phenomenological basis of a material structure. It is both the internality of texture and externality of texture with two X's that determines the canvas-like aspect of the corporeal body.
There's people that love having a lot of tattoos on their bodies. For them it's more external because they really like the aesthetic value that they have. It's body modification to show who they are to other people, and maybe in that way for them it's more external. But then there are people that go through traumas, go through very harsh experiences, and it's almost as if you want to have a tattoo on your body to feel a bit less heavy inside and have something external that connects to that thing that is inside, but it makes it lighter in a way.
Internal connections that I have with them, and that arise from something deeper than just a piece of ink in my skin.
Little squiggles of like ink almost like leaking into myself. They're part of the armour and part of what's seen, and they're part of the external.
Sarah Jackson contends that skin is presently considered to be the first mark of identity. It is both the site of individuation as well as the vehicle for contact with others. Bruno Latour builds on the eminence of skin by declaring that to have a body is to be affected, meaning effectuated, thereby put into motion by other entities, humans and non-humans. He surmises that the body is less about nature as a bounded substance and is more of an interface to other elements.
I feel like I've become more transparent, as in, like, I feel like people now have a bigger access to my internal world.
Sometimes people are kind of like, oh, this is the thing you've chosen to do, you must want to talk about it. And it's like, no, it's kind of more like, it's the stuff I've been talking about, it's more something I've chosen to do for me, as opposed to because of how I'm seen by it.
There's a few instances where I've been in coffee shops and someone's come over and grabbed my arm. I don't let my tattoos define me as such a person. You know, I'm not someone who has tattoos, I'm just a person. You know, the fact that I have them is near here or there, it wouldn't change who I am.
One girl said to me once, oh, that dress looks so pretty on you, it would look so nice if you didn't have a sleeve. That's interesting, isn't it? Because people think of like tattoos as this, you're not pretty, you're no longer conforming to like my idea of what femininity is. And people have said that to me before as well. Oh, you know, I'd love a tattoo, but I don't think I could because I just like my body to be fresh or pure, or, you know, those kind of words. And I find that really interesting. It's like, well, what do you think? I mean, life leaves marks on your skin. You're never going to be flawless.
Skin is the site of encounter between enfleshed self and society. The skin is where the self involutes into the world and the world into the self. Skin is a marked surface, inscribed with text of race, gender, sexuality, class and age, before it is marked by ink.
Being a person is being like a blank canvas or a writing surface. And having tattoos is just like another way of being able to exert that in a more kind of like physical realm, in the same way that we can like change our opinions, change like our personality, we can write our own stories about who we want to be. Part of that is also doing that onto our bodies. I think it's all one and the same. My body is something that I enact upon. I want to have it be like connected. Our skin is what we interact with the outside world through. It's the line between me and that which is not me.
It is your own body, you can do with it what you want. Face, neck tattoos, like whatever. It's, you know, you are a canvas now, you're a walking canvas.
Skin is the tangible force with which we interact with our environment, as well as the immaterial signifier of spirituality, values, and ethics. While constantly acquiring the stains of experience, it expires in conjunction with the end of life. The human body is transient, impermanent, and temporary. It witnesses both joy and pain, and bears their marks. This chapter moves towards the societally concealed ways in which tattoos ameliorate pain.
A little nostalgic, a little sad sometimes that I chose a medium that's so transitional. Only the lifespan of the wearer. Photos live on, I know, but I should have worked in bronze. I would have lasted for 1,000 years.
You pay a price in terms of pain alongside, but then it becomes almost like a scar, is part of your life, is part of your story, that you got this done and this is the price you paid for it.
Because I was in a lot of pain for like a lot of my teenage years, like I had chronic migraines, there was something quite nice about productive pain, about being like, yes, this hurts, but I'm used to pain and I'm getting something out of this, I'm getting something I want out of this.
Tattoos you carry also signify sometimes pain, and for some of them is that painful image of seeing hammerhead sharks. From like a very specific memory that I was in Oaxaca in Mexico, and we would go there every single year with my family. It was almost like a place where I grew up. And one specific morning when we came down to the beach, there was some fishermen that were coming with their catch, and they were taking down all the sharks that they had grabbed from the ocean that morning, and they were taking down all of their fins from the sharks.
The psychological thriller Memento sees the protagonist Leonard take advantage of the permanence of tattoos. Suffering short-term memory loss, his tattoos codify his daily life and determine all that he knows since his head trauma. Leonard's tattoos signify his underlying ethos of character, allegorical for tattoo wearers' indication of their nature through their chosen art.
The fact that tattoos are alive and they change with you, it represents also how traumas are something that never leaves you. Traumas stay with you. You internalize trauma in your body, and at least for me, as I grow up, I find myself going through new traumas and all the old ones come back.
Part of the reason my mum was never keen on tattoos before I started getting them, and now she kind of is a lot more, was that she thought it was a masochistic thing. She thought that it is self-harm, a form of self-harm. But I kind of made the argument that maybe it could even be a therapeutic process to help people get over self-harm. My first tattoo, I felt so much more inside my body after I'd got it done. It felt like a therapeutic process for that, because it felt like it was almost stapling together, calibrating together my internal self and my external self.
I mean, my tattoos are kind of my way of dealing with identity crisis, maybe in a bit, because again, I came to the UK, I wanted to leave. I mean, after graduating, I always thought I go back home, I'm an only child, I need to look after my parents, my grandparents. But now I don't want that anymore, and I feel like I'm struggling between what does being Bulgarian mean, what does being English mean, what does it mean to belong somewhere, because I kind of feel like I've lost that sense of belonging. So for me, maybe that's my way of dealing with it in a way. The one above my elbow, it's very personal to my granddad, because he used to go to that mountain all the time and then he passed away. I guess it's a bit of a trauma from my childhood that I have, which I never really dealt with because I was so young and I didn't realize they impacted me. I'm dealing with that sort of feeling of guilt that I never went with him to that mountain. So now I have it here.
This tattoo, eudaimonia, means in Greek, eu means good and daimon it comes from what then became in English demon, right? So the literal translation, literal would be good demons. But when you look into it, the word and how it was used in Greece, it's human flourishing. If you face your demons, if you face your traumas, if you face this pain, and you get to know it, it becomes something good, and it will make the human that you are flourish.
Sarah Ahmed and Jackie Stacey contend that the skin and writing are both processes that involve materiality and signification, limits and possibilities, thought and effect. difference and identity. Thinking upon this, we can consider the skin as a spatio-temporal boundary with which we access the world and with which the world accesses us. This project unveils the underlying importance of tattoos, how they are used to navigate our environment, and the degree to which they are both a part of as well as extraneous to our body. There are questions beyond what I have asked in this project, questions behind nudity and comfort in the body, culturally specific identities, and other material practices of modifying the body. Having focused on result, further investigation might look into the meaning of process. At the outset, my own relationship to my tattoos and skin was one of conceited importance. The true stories and meanings behind my tattoos is something I considered to be relatively spontaneous. Yet through these interviews and the collation of this video, I am reminded that the emotional resonance of the designs on my skin are more than just a sketch of my exterior self. They are symbolic of my internal, of my passions, of my past, and of my relations to others on this earth.